Welcome, dear dreamer, wherever you are, whatever kind of day you've had. Tonight, let the waves carry you somewhere peaceful. Close your eyes and imagine warm ocean winds brushing against your skin. The scent of sea salt, soft and sweet. The sound of gentle waves rolling over white sand, again and again, like the rhythm of a lullaby. You're drifting now, toward a distant island, where the palm trees sway slowly under the stars, and ancient legends sleep inside every breeze. This is the world of Moana, a world where the sea is alive, where the stars tell stories, and where a young girl, born of curiosity and courage, learns to listen to the voice inside her heart. But before she sets sail, before she crosses the great ocean or faces monsters and gods, she is just a child, like anyone else, dreaming of something more. Tonight, you will follow her, from the soft shores of her island home, to the deepest parts of the ocean, to the heart of an ancient goddess herself. You will sail through calm waters and glowing dreams, guided by the stars and the quiet pulse of destiny. This story is not just about adventure, it is about becoming, about finding your place, and returning home with more than you left with. So take a deep breath now, and let the waves rock you gently, like Moana's canoe swaying under moonlight. You are safe here, you are warm, and everything that waits ahead is only a story. Let go of your thoughts, let the tide take you, and when you wake, you may find that you, too, are a little braver than you were before. This is the journey of Moana, and it's time to fall asleep to it. Long before Moana drew her first breath, before canoes whispered across Motunui's shallows, the world was an untouched canvas of blue and green. At its heart lay a single island, bright emerald and gently pulsing beneath every palm leaf. This was Te Fiti, the mother island, a goddess shaped from living earth. Her mountains curled like folded arms, rivers like silver veins, breath rising as soft mist that kissed the morning sun. From far above, the demigods watched Te Fiti's miracle bloom. Most were content with distant admiration, but Maui, shapeshifter, trickster, ever hungry for praise, saw a chance to add one more triumph to the moving canvas of tattoos that told his life. Fire, coconuts, lifted islands, all gifts he had seized and lavished on humankind. Yet his heart remained restless, craving a gift so great that mortals could never forget his name. So Maui flew toward Te Fiti's glimmer, feathers of hawk form slicing dawn. The first sight stole even his brazen breath. At the island's navel sat a heart, a luminescent spiral of jade beating in slow, shimmering pulses. Whoever held it, legends whispered, would command the power to create life itself. A prize like that, Maui decided, would crown him hero eternal. He landed small as a man before a mountain goddess. Te Fiti dreamed, unaware, beneath canopies of hibiscus and songbird lullabies. Maui's hook, great and gleaming, clicked against a rock as he crept forward. One swift strike, a burst of emerald light, a thunderous gasp from the island itself, and the heart lay in his tattooed palm, pulsing faster now, as if it sensed danger. In that instant, Te Fiti changed. Lush slopes cracked, molten fire bled through seams of obsidian bone, clouds darkened in spirals overhead. The living goddess folded inward, her verdant form collapsing into rugged cliff and lava vent. From the cratered ruin crawled Te Ka, a monster forged of scorched earth and molten grief. She howled, mountains grinding teeth, and swung volcanic limbs to smite the thief. Maui leapt skyward, hawk again, heart clutched tight. Te Ka's rage did not end at the island's edge. She flung fingers of ash and flame far across the sea, and the ocean recoiled. Coral paled, fish vanished, seedlings shriveled. Where her smoke drifted, islands sickened as though a shadow had swallowed the sun. In village after village, elders watched crops fail and whispered of balance broken. But the ocean remembered everything. She had once cradled Maui's cradle, and she had felt Te Fiti's kindness in every current. When Maui's escape faltered, caught in a storm of his own making, hook splintered by Te Ka's fury, the heart slipped from his grasp and plunged into midnight waters. There it vanished, swallowed by the restless blue. Maui, wounded and ashamed, disappeared into legend, and the heart lay hidden, waiting. Centuries blurred by like the tail of a comet. Trees turned to driftwood, sandbars wandered, constellations tilted. Across the seas, new islands bloomed and dimmed beneath Te Ka's spreading blight. Fishermen returned with empty nets, speaking of blackened tides where nothing breathed. Chiefs forbade voyages beyond safe lagoons. The ocean is danger, they told their children, though once it had been promise. Yet prophecy lingered in hushed night chants. One day, someone chosen by the ocean herself would find the lost heart, cross the horizon, and restore balance not by brute force, but by knowing who they truly were. This soul would walk where lava cracked and speak where silence reigned. They would place the spiral gem back into Te Fiti's chest, and the mother would breathe life once more. For now, though, the heart rested in coral darkness, its glow dim but steady, an emerald sigh beneath moonlit waves, and somewhere on an island ringed by turquoise and guarded by cliffs of emerald basalt, a child was almost ready to be born. Her name would mean ocean, and the sea itself would whisper it like a promise. Moa, Na. Sailors of old still sang of Maui's theft around driftwood fires. They spoke of an emerald flash that dimmed the very moon, of coral reefs turned gray beneath drifting ash. Across distant shores, canoes remained moored, their sails folded like wings at rest, while mothers wove warning into cradle songs. But here and there, rebels of spirit still dreamed of the open blue. They traced bird paths across the sky, listened to the language of wind and palm fronds, and felt their hearts tug toward distant horizons. They did not know it yet, but these tremors of curiosity were seeds planted by the ocean, waiting for the right soul to bloom. Far beneath the surface, where sunlight melts into indigo, the heart endured. Manta rays drifted through its glow, reef sharks circled then shied away, as if sensing something sacred. Even the water itself hushed around the stone, a reverent lull in the ocean's endless hum. Meanwhile, high atop the broken shell of Te Fiti, Te Ka brooded. Lava coursed over her stone limbs, cooling and shattering, forever restless. A veil of smoke cloaked her in shifting darkness, a beacon of fear that painted every western sunset deep volcanic red. And Maui? Stories splintered about him like driftwood after a storm. Some claimed he wandered the deepest trenches. Others swore he hid among the stars, the crack in his hook mirrored by a crack in his courage. Children still carved his grin on coconut husks, but the smiles had become masks of warning. One night, as constellations turned their eyes upon the vast Pacific canvas, the ocean stirred with quiet resolve. She brushed the fingertips of newborns with salted foam, testing their pulses against the patient thrum of the spiral gem. She sought neither warrior's strength nor elder's wisdom, but a heart woven of wonder. Stubborn as coral, gentle as drifting kelp. Generations passed, each carrying memories of dawn brighter than reality allowed. Hope never vanished. It curled up like a seed beneath volcanic ash, waiting for rain. When that rain finally came, it would take the form of a little girl chasing baby turtles to the sea, laughing as the waves rose to meet her. But before her laughter, there was silence. The breath before a song. The hush before a voyage. That silence is where our story begins to swell, like wind filling a sail, not with fear, but with possibility. Listen closely now. The waves whisper old names: Te Fiti's generosity, Maui's reckless pride, Te Ka's smoldering sorrow. They murmur of balance broken and hope yet to be born. Beneath them all, a steady heartbeat drums in green light, counting the moments until child and ocean meet. Tonight, as you rest, feel that heartbeat beneath your own ribs, slow, certain, unbowed. It is the reminder that even the deepest wounds await healing, and the promise that dawn follows night, that island follows wave, and that somewhere beyond your window, a vast world waits to bloom again. Remember, whenever the surf sings against the shore, it is the echo of Te Fiti's first heartbeat. And whenever a shell glitters in moonlight, the ocean may be inviting a future voyager to listen. Let that promise guide dreams. And so, the sea dreams of tomorrow, while a single emerald spiral glows patiently in the dark, faithful, steady, and ready. Under a warm equatorial sun, the island of Motunui floats like an emerald upon glass blue water, ringed by a necklace of silver-white sand. Tall palms lean lazily over the shore as though listening to the endless hush of waves. Breadfruit trees crowd rich volcanic soil. Their leaves flicker emerald and lime whenever the trade winds wander through. At dawn, mist rises from jungle valleys in lavender wisps, and at dusk, fireflies paint soft constellations among banana leaves. Even the mountain at the island's spine seems to breathe, a slow, cloud-capped inhale that perfumes each breeze with cool spring water and hibiscus. Here, everything is alive and gentle, moving to a rhythm older than drums. On this tranquil stage live the people of Motunui, farmers, fishers, carvers, dancers, bound together by song and the laughter of children chasing chickens across sun-bleached courtyards. Their chief, Tui, stands tall and broad-shouldered, strength tempered by a smile that melts like sugar cane in tea. Each morning he greets every villager by name, palm pressed to palm, eyes soft with responsibility. His wife, Sina, moves through the village like sunrise itself, golden, kind, and quietly unstoppable. She knows the secret to coaxing taro from stubborn soil and the lullaby that calms a restless baby in one heartbeat. Together, they are the steady drumbeat beneath the island's daily song, leadership and tenderness woven so tightly they feel like the same word. Not long after a season of particularly generous rains, the couple's hut glowed with a new light, tiny, warm, and bright as a seashell catching dawn. A daughter arrived, swaddled in tapa cloth printed with spirals. Sina held her to Chief Tui's chest, and in the hush of that moment they chose a name the sea itself might whisper: Moana, ocean, vast water connection, unbroken. The name tasted cool and limitless on their tongues, and the breeze through the doorway seemed to nod in agreement. Moana's earliest mornings were lullabies of tide and gull. Sina set her woven bassinet near the doorway so sunlight could paint freckles of gold on chubby cheeks. Chief Tui crafted little toys from driftwood canoes and palm leaf sails. When Moana giggled, the entire village paused to listen. It sounded uncannily like surf fizzing on sand. Evidence, some said, that the ocean had tucked laughter into her lungs before birth. Her first steps happened during a midsummer feast. Musicians beat goatskin drums. Baskets overflowed with roasted breadfruit and coconut slices. Moana, determined to taste a piece of pineapple balanced on her father's plate, toddled 3 wobbly strides before tumbling into Chief Tui's lap. Gasps turned to cheers. Grandmother Tala Tui's mother, eccentric, silver-haired, eyes shining like moonlit tide pools, declared it a sign. She walks toward sweetness, and the sweetness walks toward her. That night, Tala dipped her finger in seawater, traced a tiny spiral on Moana's forehead, and whispered, "The tide recognizes its own." Days melted into months filled with sand-speckled knees and toddler squeals. Motunui's beach became Moana's playground. She constructed crooked castles beside fiddler crabs, then smashed them gleefully under plump feet while her parents laughed from the shade. Sometimes she sat still, head cocked, as if listening to a language only she understood. The hush of waves meeting coral, the sway of seagrass. The villagers would nod knowingly. Island children hear many things. Yet one morning etched itself into legend, retold again and again during evening torchlight circles. Moana, barely able to pronounce her own name, followed a line of baby sea turtles inching from nest to sea. Overhead, frigate birds circled hungry, wings carving black arcs across pristine sky. As the first turtle struggled over coral rubble, a shadow dropped, talons ready. Without a flicker of fear, Moana waddled forward, tiny arms splayed, her shout more gurgle than word. At that very instant, a translucent wave rose and curled around her like a mother's arm, shimmering turquoise under the sun. It hovered, impossible, water suspended as crystal, shielding child and hatchlings alike. The frigate bird veered off, scolded by a spray of salt so delicate it sparkled like stardust. Onlookers froze, hearts thumping louder than drums. In silence, the wave lowered, melting into froth that kissed Moana's ankles. She giggled, splashing delightedly, unaware that her village had just witnessed a handshake between toddler and ocean. Chief Tui hurried over, equal parts awe and concern. He scooped Moana up, hugging her tight, gaze drifting across the water as if expecting the wave to rise again. It did not. Only a playful ripple remained, as though winking. That night, while Motunui buzzed with rumors of sea spirits choosing champions, Tui reinforced his rule. No one sails beyond the reef. His voice trembled, a mix of fatherly fear and buried memories of his own youthful voyage gone wrong. Moana did not notice the decree's heaviness. She was busy chasing fireflies under pandanus leaves. But Grandma Tala noticed, and her heart shivered with excitement. She carried Moana down to the water's edge under a silk-black sky. Stars scattered overhead like seashells flung across velvet. Waves hissed secrets against sand. Tala dipped her toes, motioning for Moana to do the same. The toddler's feet touched cool water. A soft glow shimmered around her ankles, where bioluminescent plankton awakened, swirling to form a perfect spiral. Tala laughed, low and musical. She bent close, breath smelling faintly of coconut and sea air. Listen, little one, the ocean knows your name. One day, when you're ready, it will call louder than the drums, and when it does, follow. She tapped Moana's nose, whispered stories of voyagers who read the night sky like a map, of canoes slicing water as smooth as moonlight, of islands hidden beyond horizon's edge where mangoes tasted like dawn. Moana's eyes grew wide. Though she understood few words, the melody of possibility settled under her ribs like a sleepy tide. Back in the village, daily life cushioned Moana in warmth. Mornings began with the crisp crack of coconut husks as Sina prepared breakfast, singing softly about taro leaves curling toward sunbeams. Moana would toddle in circles around the cook fire, flour tucked behind one ear, rooster feathers stuck in her tight curls. After meals, Chief Tui hoisted her onto his shoulders for the walk through orchards. From that mighty perch, she surveyed rows of taro patchwork and felled bananas ready for drying racks. Each greeting from a villager earned her a gummy grin or a playful wave. Sina taught her the names of every shell along the lagoon: cowrie, conch, spiral moonshell. Each shell made a different note when tapped. Together, they formed a secret alphabet Moana practiced long into nap times, soft clinks echoing from woven mats. She painted pictures in the sand, crooked circles for the sun, messy triangles for sails. Occasionally, a rogue wave would steal her artwork away, smoothing all lines. She never cried. She simply giggled and began again. as if understanding that the ocean rewrites stories in its own time. When afternoon heat draped heavy, Grandma Tala appeared like a breeze through an open door. Her hair, wild and gray, was adorned with living stories. Hibiscus here, a feather there, each ornament marking some memory only she could decode. She gathered children in her shadow beneath the giant banyan tree, its aerial roots dangling like tangled yarn. There, Tala unfurled legends. Maui lassoing the sun, the first voyage guided by stingray constellations, Te Fiti's heart beating deep green beneath endless blue. Moana sat closest, tiny hands buried in turtle-etched sand, eyes reflecting every flicker of torchlight and wonder. Sometimes, as Tala spoke of the ocean choosing heroes, Moana felt a familiar coolness brush her ankle, even though no tide reached that far inland. She would smile, content with the secret, while Chief Tui built practical lessons: how to weave baskets, when to harvest taro. Tala nurtured the invisible, dreams that smell of salt and taste like horizon. Sina wove both paths into evening. She bathed Moana under starlight, humming lullabies older than the mountain. As she dried tiny curls, she whispered the meaning of Moana's name again and again. You are the ocean, not because you are water, but because you are endless. Moana would yawn, eyelids heavy, and somewhere beyond the reef, a distant wave would echo the same cadence, as if lulling the girl to sleep. Seasons turned. Cyclones roared past but spared Motunui. Birds migrated and returned, each cycle stitched into Moana's growing sense of time. With every sunrise she grew taller, bones made of coral strength and eyes bright as tide pools. Yet the ocean's pull only deepened. Sometimes, at dawn, villagers would spot her standing knee-deep in glassy shallows, palms outstretched, as though feeling an invisible pulse. When they called her back to breakfast, the water would part gently around her legs, never once knocking her off balance. By the time she could speak in full sentences, she answered waves like old friends. I know. Soon. No one quite knew what she meant. But Tala knew. She watched from the shade, smile creasing like weathered driftwood. She understood that a day would come when Moana's feet would itch for deck boards, when the smell of salt on wind would be invitation more than background. For now, however, there was childhood to savor, nights of dance around bonfires, afternoons of coconut races across courtyards, dawns of rooster-crow duets. Tala marked each memory like a shell on a necklace, ready to slip over Moana's head when voyage called. And so Motunui thrived, lush, peaceful, unaware that prophetic threads were already weaving within its chief's daughter. While taro plants stretched green arms skyward and fish shimmered in reef shallows, the heart of Te Fiti continued its silent beat beneath distant water. The ocean listened, patient, foam fingertips tapping rhythms along Motunui's shore. With each gentle lap, it whispered to the girl who bore its name, one day, but not yet. Grow, little wave, grow. Morning light shimmers like spun gold across Motunui's lagoon, and 12-year-old Moana greets the day where sand meets sea. One bare foot digs into warm grains. The other strays into cool ripples, as if she can't decide which world feels more like home. Behind her, roosters crow, smoke curls from cooking fires, and the village drum begins its gentle boom, 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 the summons to chores, lessons, and responsibility. Ahead, the horizon blurs into a blue invitation so wide it almost hums. Moana's heart beats somewhere between those two drums. Duty on one side, destiny on the other. She lifts a half-carved oar, youth-sized, smoothed by hours of sanding, and sings softly, letting her notes dance across the tide. Her voice is light but sure, twirling over the first line, dipping into the second, like a gull gliding between waves. The ocean answers in a hush of foam that curls around her calves, sculpting tiny spirals before slipping away. She smiles, but the smile fades when the village drum quickens pace. Time to gather coconuts, to weave baskets, to recite the names of every ancestor whose bones rest beneath Motunui's soil. Chief Tui, broad-shouldered and stern, waits near the banyan tree, arms folded like great wings. He watches his daughter stride back from the shore, sea spray glittering on her hair. Each droplet is a warning bell in his mind. Salt water means deep water, and deep water means danger he has tasted. His own voyage beyond the reef, years ago, ended in a wreck that scarred both leg and memory. He never speaks of the rolling dark that swallowed his canoe that night, but the fear clings to him like damp cloth. For Moana's sake, he hides it beneath calm authority. Still, every time she gazes at the sea, his jaw tightens. "Good morning, Dad," she calls, placing a fresh shell in his palm as tribute. He can't suppress a soft laugh. She knows gifts lighten his lectures, but he clears his throat. "Morning, Mo." He scans the beach behind her as if expecting a rogue wave to reach out and snatch her away. Moana joins the villagers in the taro fields. She spreads mulch, untangles vines, and hums the same melody she sang to the sea. Yet even while her hands pull weeds, her eyes flick toward gaps between palms where turquoise shimmers. Motunui's tasks ground her body, but her heart keeps floating, buoyed by distant swells. When chores pause for midday meals, she sneaks to the cliffs where hermit crabs duel with painted claws, and the breeze smells like adventure. She sits, hugging knees, tracing cloud ships sailing across the sky. She imagines herself aboard a real canoe, reading the flight of birds, interpreting the hush of wind against sailcloth. The thought makes her chest ache with sweetness, and something close to sorrow. A gentle laugh breaks her trance. Grandma Tala emerges from fern shadows, hips swaying to some private rhythm. "Caught again, little voyager." Her eyes twinkle with the same mischief that flashes in phosphorescent waves at midnight. She plops beside Moana, dangling feet over the cliff edge. "The island keeps you busy, but your spirit keeps sneaking off. Moana sighs, leaning into Tala's warm shoulder. "I love Motunui, Grandma. I love our people. But when I look out there, I feel pulled, like the tides inside me." Tala nods. Responsibility and longing, two currents inside the same heart. She pats Moana's chest. "You're allowed to carry both." Then she winks. "Just don't let one drown the other." The afternoon unfolds as a living tapestry of village life. Fishermen push slender outriggers past the reef, nets glinting under sun. Women pound taro into pace-like poi rhythm echoing through breadfruit groves. Children chase piglets around coconut trees, their laughter rising like startled parrots. Moana joins a group preparing evening feast decorations, stringing frangipani and hibiscus into garlands, yet her fingers tie knots in patterns that resemble ocean swirls. At dusk, drums summon everyone to the communal clearing. Fires crackle, sending sparks swirling into violet sky. The scent of grilled reef fish mingles with burning sandalwood. Villagers dance barefoot, stamping patterns into earth that echo wave crests and star paths. Moana leads a line dance, feet quick and sure, but every spin seems to orient her face toward moonlit water. Chief Tui claps in rhythm, watching with pride tinged by caution. He can see the sea reflected in her eyes the way others see fire in torchlight. After dancing, storytellers gather, older men with weathered voices, young girls fresh from lessons, all eager to trade legends beneath a sky now freckled with constellations. Grandma Tala commands the largest circle. She weaves tales so vivid that even the flames hush to listen. Tonight, she speaks of the Wayfinder's ancestors who read clouds and swells, who felt the shape of islands hidden beyond night. She flicks her wrist in and sparks leap upward on cue, like golden birds. Moana sits in front, chin on knees, absorbing every word. Chief Tui clears his throat, stepping forward when the story ends. Those voyages belong to the past. He reminds the crowd gently but firmly, we thrive because we stay, because we cherish what we have. Most villagers nod. Moana's heart, however, flutters like a trapped sparrow. She can taste salt on the back of her tongue, though the night breeze carries only smoke. Later, she helps Sina wrap leftover taro in leaves. Dad's right, Moana murmurs, half question, half statement. Sina smiles, tucking a strand of hair behind Moana's ear. He's right that he loves you, and fear often grows from love. She presses Moana's hands. The ocean will still be there tomorrow, and so will we. It's comfort and cage all at once. When moon climbs high, Motunui drifts toward sleep. But Moana slips from her mat, tiptoes past snoring cousins, and crosses dew-cooled grass to the shore. The lagoon glows faintly, bioluminescent shimmer stirred by her footsteps. She wades knee-deep, humming the Wayfinder tune Tala taught her. The ocean lifts a gentle swell, nudging her playfully, then retreats. She laughs under her breath. Here, away from watchful eyes, responsibility loosens its grip, and the pull of the sea feels safe. A silhouette glides behind her. Grandma Tala, wrapped in a shawl patterned with manta rays. Couldn't sleep? She asks. Moana shrugs. The waves were loud tonight. Tala chuckles. Or maybe your heart was. She reaches into her pouch and pulls out a smooth piece of driftwood carved into a miniature canoe. For practicing star paths, she says, pushing the toy across the water's surface. It floats, turning with each ripple. Moana follows it, palm cupped beneath hull until it returns to shore. In that tiny voyage, she imagines a future so vivid she can almost taste the spray. Tala twirls, ankle deep, arms extended like wings. Moonlight paints her hair silver. Dance with the water, she whispers. Moana copies, spinning slow circles. Every rotation erases a worry. One for her father's fear, another for villagers' doubts, a third for the voice that says she cannot be both chief and sailor. Water laps around ankles, reflecting stars. For a breathless heartbeat, earth and sky blur, and Moana feels suspended in between. Child of land, child of sea, equally beloved. By dawn, she returns home with sand still stuck to her calves. Chief Tui stands at the doorway, concern softening into exasperated relief. Again? He says, but his hug is tight. You belong with your people, Mo. She rests her head against his chest, hearing the steady drum of his heart. I know, Dad, I just feel the ocean calling. Tui's arms stiffen briefly, then he sighs. I feel it too sometimes. That's why I know how strong the call is, and how strong the danger. He lifts her chin. Promise me you'll stay inside the reef. She hesitates. The promise tastes dry, but she nods. Days rinse and repeat like tides. Moana helps weave fishing nets, learning which knots hold against marlin fights. She guides younger kids through coconut tree mazes, herding wayward piglets back to pens. She replaces broken planks on communal canoes, though they rarely sail farther than Coraline. With every duty completed, a different longing grows, but she pushes it aside for now, stacking responsibilities like stones in a wall. One afternoon, fishermen return empty-handed again, nets tangled around bleached coral heads, eyes worried. Coconut harvests shrink. Some trees flower but never fruit. Elders whisper of blight creeping across islands like a shadow. Chief Tui organizes bigger planting parties, deeper fishing forays, but the unease lingers, thin as smoke. Moana notices fear flicker in adult eyes when they think she isn't looking. It reminds her of horizon storms, dark shapes gathering just beyond sight. That evening, During a lullaby circle, Tala's voice lowers, secret soft. She beckons Moana closer. Remember, little voyager, when the island's heartbeat falters, sometimes the answer lies beyond what eyes can see. She taps a spiral on Moana's palm. Keep watching the stars. They will show you truth when paths seem tangled. Moana curls into sleep, hearing two rhythms, the faint rattle of dried coconuts still clinging to diseased trees, and the hush of tide beyond reef. One is her duty to fix, the other, a calling to follow. How can she honor both? In dreams, she sails beyond endless lines of moonlit crests, G-shaped manta rays guiding her way, while voices from shore echo reminders of home. She wakes at dawn with pulse racing, sand in her hair though she never left her mat. The island roosters crow like fate itself. Moana rises, brushes off sand, and steps out into yet another day of chores and longing. She straightens her shoulders, daughter of a chief, student of an ocean. Two worlds, one heart. Somewhere ahead lies the moment she must choose not one or the other, but both at once. Until then, she'll keep weaving nets, singing to waves, and collecting every star story Tala shares, storing them like shells inside her chest. Because when the tide finally turns, and it will, she'll need every note of every song, every map drawn in torchlit ink, every whispered secret of wind and swell. Only then will the child of two worlds grow into the wayfinder, both land and sea already know her to be. High summer settles over Motunui like a sleepy quilt, yet an uneasy hush threads through each dawn. In the coconut groves, clusters that once hung plump and green now sag in blotched brown armor. When villagers pry them open, the water inside is sour, the flesh gray and spongy. Mothers click tongues, fathers frown. Children wrinkle noses at the strange smell. On the reef, nets return alarmingly light. Only drifting seaweed, a lonely shell, and sometimes nothing at all. The fishermen's shoulders droop lower with each tide, and even the gulls circle half-heartedly, crying thin, confused notes. Moana notices first. She counts empty baskets piling beside the cook fire and feels a quiet panic nibble her ribs. Coconut milk thickens every recipe, fish season every stew. Without them, feast songs lose flavor and night dances wane to half-hearted claps. She walks the groves at sunrise, running fingers along cracked husks, searching for a healthy one like a healer checks pulses. When she finds none, worry turns to heat behind her eyes. She joins the fishermen on their next attempt, steering a canoe just inside the reef. All day they toss nets and pull them back empty, save for scrawny urchins clinging like regrets. When sunset blushes the water crimson, they finally turn home. The silence on deck feels heavier than anchor stone. Moana grips the rail, gaze fixed on horizon, heart pounding with questions she cannot yet shape into words. That night at the communal meal, the mood tastes stale. Portions shrink, stories dry up. Chief Tui stands to reassure everyone. We will plant more taro, mend deeper nets. But his smile strains at the edges. Moana sits beside Sina, picking at thin slices of breadfruit, frustration thudding in her chest. She loves Motunui more fiercely than ever now, and that love makes every failed harvest feel personal. After the meal, Moana slips away to the shoreline, where moonlight draws silver ladders across water. She murmurs to the waves, begging for answers. A gentle swell pats her ankles, sympathetic, but silent. She sighs, nodding her hands in her skirt, when a familiar soft laugh drifts through the palm shadows. Grandma Tala approaches, shawl fluttering like a manta ray's wing. The island coughs, she says quietly, eyes reflecting starlight. Sometimes coughs are whispers of deeper illness. She presses a warm shell into Moana's palm. Listen to the shell when it's quiet. It might echo something the breeze cannot say aloud. Moana holds it to her ear but hears only her own heartbeat mingling with distant surf. The next afternoon, drums boom from the far end of the village. Low, steady, unlike any ceremonial rhythm. Moana's head jerks up from coconut sapling replanting. She cranes toward the sound, heart leaping. The beat pulses once, twice, then fades as if swallowed by earth itself. No one else seems to hear. The villagers keep working, blades slicing dry fronds, children chasing goats. A chill dances across her shoulders despite the heat. She finds Tala weaving palm fronds in the shade of the banyan. "Grandma, did you hear those drums?" Moana asks, breath quick. Tala's smile is sly. "Old roots remember old music, child." She rises, crooking a finger. "Walk with me." Tala leads Moana beyond taro fields, through a curtain of bird-nesting vines, into the jungle's deep hush. Ferns brush their calves. An unseen stream gurgles. After a winding trail studded with volcanic pebbles, they reach a cliff face riddled with vines. Tala parts them, revealing a narrow opening exhaling cool, earthy breath. "A cave?" Moana whispers, excitement sparking. Tala nods. "Our island keeps many secrets. Some sleep until drums wake them." She hands Moana a torch dipped in coconut oil, sparks it to life, and gestures her inside. The passage slopes downward, walls glittering with flecks of mica like trapped starlight. The air smells of damp stone and ancient stories. Farther in, the tunnel widens into a cavernous chamber where echoes flutter like startled bats. Moana gasps. Row upon row of enormous canoes loom in the torch glow. Sleek hulls carved from breadfruit trunks, masts lashed with coconut fiber, sails folded like manta wings. Some are so large they nearly brush the stalactites overhead. Dust blankets decks. Yet the canoes stand proud, as if waiting patiently for wind to kiss their sails again. Moana steps forward, fingertips skimming the nearest prow. The wood feels smooth, engraved with spirals matching the pattern on her grandmother's shawl. Torchlight dances across carvings of birds, fish, and stars, maps in wood grain. Her heartbeat thunders louder than the drums she'd heard. "Grandma, what is this?" she breathes. Tala's voice is hushed reverence. "Your ancestors' memories. Before the reef became a boundary, it was a gateway. Our people crossed oceans wider than dreams." She lifts the torch higher, illuminating painted constellations on the cave ceiling, tiny shells set into stone marking star paths. "We were voyagers, Moana, wayfinders. We found new islands by listening to the sea's heartbeat." Moana's knees wobble. She recalls every empty net, every rotting coconut, and the pull she's felt since childhood, threads converging in one dazzling realization. Her destiny isn't rebellion, it's remembrance. A phantom drumbeat rises again, stronger now, as though the canoes themselves awaken. Moana's pulse sinks to it. She pictures herself gripping a steering oar beneath a night sky jeweled with those same constellations, wind in her hair, salt on her lips. For a heartbeat, she is both terrified and entirely at peace. Tala touches her shoulder, gentle but firm. "Your father hides this truth, not to deceive, but to protect." Fear built the reef wall in his heart, yet sometimes protection becomes a prison. She gestures to the hulking vessels. These canoes once answered need with courage. Perhaps they must sail again, if the island is to heal. Moana swallows the lump in her throat. But Dad will never allow it. He thinks the ocean only takes. "The ocean gives and tests," Tala replies. "It took many things from him, yes, but it also chose you. Remember the wave, the turtles, the spiral glowing at your feet? It chose you because you can hear both drums, the drum of land and the drum of sea." Moana closes her eyes, inhales damp cavern air, and feels her chest warm, like an ember fanned to life. "What if I fail?" she whispers. Tala turns the torch toward Moana's face. You fail only by refusing the call. She lifts Moana's hand and presses it to the canoe's bow. Feel the grain. Your ancestors carved these with hope thicker than fear. That hope lives in you. They spend hours exploring. Moana discovers navigation stones etched with wind patterns, gourds of dried star charts, ropes still strong enough to trust. She traces routes on cave walls, sweeping arcs linking clusters of specks that represent entire island chains. Everywhere she looks, she finds proof that Motunui's people were never meant to stand still. When they emerge from the cave at dusk, the sky is molten pink, clouds shaped like sails. Moana's mind races with tidal velocity, but she forces herself to breathe slow. Tala guides her to the lagoon's edge, where gentle waves lap like lullabies. As the first stars prick the sky, Tala kneels in the surf, cupping water that glints turquoise even after sunset. She lets it fall through her fingers. The ocean still believes. She murmurs, "Do you?" Moana stares at her reflection rippling with starlight. She thinks of the island's slow decay, of villagers she loves laughing a little less each day. She thinks of the cave's silent fleet, of star paths begging to be followed. Her reflection steadies, eyes bright, shoulders squared. "Yes," she breathes. Tala's smile widens, deeper than joy, threaded with destiny. Then listen closely. She leans in, whispering a secret Moana will replay in dreams, directions to retrieve something very old and very precious when the moment is right. Something that can heal a goddess and, in doing so, heal every island she once cradled. Later, in her sleeping mat, Moana lies awake, heart drumming that cavern rhythm. She can almost taste open sea, cool, briny, alive. She pictures Motunui restored, coconuts bursting white and sweet, reefs sparkling with fish again, laughter spilling louder than drums. The vision glows behind her eyelids like sunrise. Across the hut, Chief Tui shifts in sleep, troubled brows knitting. Moana watches him, love nodding with determination. She won't defy him out of spite. She will honor him by saving everything he's sworn to protect. She whispers into the dark, "We were voyagers, Dad. We can be again." Outside, a wave slides ashore, pawing the sand with foamy fingers, as if answering, "Yes, little wayfinder, soon." An island coughs, a cave of canoes waits, and a girl's destiny begins to glow bright enough to light her entire horizon. Night deepens. Stars litter the sky like crushed seashells across dark velvet. Moana slips through palm shadows, a bundle of provisions on her back, the heart secure at her throat. Every footstep feels like both promise and farewell. At the cliffside entrance, she lights a torch and ducks into the cave. The fleet of silent giants waits, hulls glinting in amber glow. She chooses a medium-sized voyaging canoe, small enough for one, strong enough for oceans, and sets to work. Ropes she'd secretly checked weeks ago knot quickly under trembling fingers. She hoists the crab-shell sail, checks the star-etched navigation stone, and pushes the canoe along the stone ramp toward the water tunnel that leads to the lagoon. Moonlight kisses the vessel as it slides into open sea, paddles whispering. Moana pauses, glancing back at Motunui's dark silhouette. She can almost hear her father's voice, "Stay inside the reef." She presses the heart to her chest. "I'm not leaving you, Dad. I'm saving us." A soft glow ripples beneath the hull. The ocean rises in a gentle swell, nudging the canoe toward the reef pass. It feels like a mother's hand guiding a child across a busy path. Moana breathes deep, grips the steering oar, and whispers, "Thank you." She reaches the reef's opening, jagged teeth of coral that once seemed so forbidding. Tonight they part under moonlit tide, forming a gate of silver. Beyond lies an expanse so wide it merges with the sky. Moana's pulse quickens, but fear is a distant shore now. She tilts the sail, catches the trade wind, and the canoe leaps forward, out of childhood, out of boundaries, into story. Hours pass. The island's silhouette shrinks into memory, a dark seed on the horizon. Around her, ocean stretches infinite and quiet, swelling and falling like a giant sleepy heartbeat. Starlight reflects on every ripple, turning the water into liquid obsidian dusted with diamonds. Moana studies the sky, the hook-shaped constellation Maui placed there eons ago, the manta ray cluster Tala loved. Their soft glow weaves a path ahead, silver thread on midnight fabric. Wind hums in the sail, low, soothing. The boat rocks in a cradle rhythm. Left, right, forward, left, right, forward. Wood creaks like lullaby percussion. Moana's eyelids droop, but she forces them open, scanning waves for hazards. Just then, the heart pulses and the sea responds. Below, tendrils of bioluminescence unfurl, turquoise ribbons swirling alongside the hull, spiraling around the rudder in playful loops. They illuminate schools of tiny fish darting through light that looks poured from the stone itself. For a breathless moment, Moana sails through glowing ink, as though the ocean is autographing the night in her honor. She trails her fingers in the water. Sparks cascade off like shattered stars. A giggle escapes her lips. Small, disbelieving joy amid grief. The ocean seems to purr in reply, raising a small wave that lifts the canoe just enough to rock her like a hammock. Moana reclines against a woven mat she laid across the deck. Above, the sky rotates slowly, constellations drifting toward dawn's edge. She thinks of Tala's manta ray form gliding overhead, of Sina's warm hugs, of Tui's worries curling like rope around his heart. Homesickness pinches, but the heart pulses again, steady, encouraging. She places it on the deck beside her and speaks aloud, voice carried on sea breeze. Grandma, stay with me. Dad, trust me. Ocean, guide me. As if answering, a warm gust fills the sail, nudging the canoe farther from home and closer to destiny. Toward midnight, clouds drift apart, revealing the Milky Way, a shimmering river of light arching across heaven. Moana recalls Tala's lesson. Follow the brightest part. It points toward the demigod's last known path. She aligns the bow accordingly. Each star feels like a breadcrumb left by ancestors, leading her deeper into unknown dark, and yet the darkness brims with promise. Loneliness visits, but does not linger. The ocean hums companionably. The canoe exudes the scent of fresh-cut wood and coconut fiber. The heart glows at her side like campfire embers. Together, they form a small, determined family drifting across a bedroom made of waves. Sudden spray cools her cheeks, a playful slap from a cresting swell. She laughs, wiping droplets. All right, I'm awake. Somewhere beneath her, whales sing, long, resonant notes that vibrate through hull and bone, harmonizing with the canoe's creak. Moana closes her eyes to listen. The melody drapes over her shoulders, weighty and gentle, like Tala's shawl reborn as sound. She imagines the whales escorting her, luminous plankton trailing their fins in glowing waterfalls. Perhaps they know where Maui hides. Perhaps they simply sense the heart's call. Either way, their song stitches courage into her sleep-starved muscles. When the first blush of dawn brushes the eastern clouds, Moana blinks against soft pink light. She straightens, checks the sail, adjusts course by morning star. Motunui has vanished behind a curtain of blue haze, but the ache in her chest eases. Parting feels less like loss and more like a tide change, inevitable, purposeful. She touches the heart, and it answers with a warm thrum. Somewhere, Te Fiti sleeps in stone-cold silence. Somewhere, Maui hides behind bravado and broken hook. Ahead lies danger and doubt, but also every answer her island needs. Moana exhales slowly. The air tastes of salt and sunrise, new beginnings distilled. She sets her gaze on the horizon, where sky births endless possibility. Behind her, the ocean lifts one more guiding swell, gentle, cradling, a final push into day. Moana smiles. Thank you. The water glitters in response, and with heart glowing bright, sail billowing true, and starlit courage still humming in her veins, Moana, child of island and wave, steers into the unknown, certain of only one thing. The ocean called, and she answered. They push off. The canoe heaves over the breakwater, catching a steady wind. Maui sets the sail with practiced ease, but Moana notices how his eyes keep darting to every swell, as though expecting the water itself to rise up and scold him. When a playful dolphin surfaces, Maui flinches. When the ocean flicks a sparkle against Moana's elbow, he grimaces like he's swallowed too much salt. Do you not trust the ocean? Moana asks. I trust land, Maui growls, jabbing a thumb toward the vanishing islet. Land stays. Ocean sneaks up on you, drags you under, leaves you talking to starfish until your hair looks like kelp. He ruffles his mane pointedly. Moana recalls Tala's words. The ocean gives and tests. She softens. Maybe the ocean's just waiting for you to listen. Maui hoots. I listen fine. It's the ocean that won't shut up. Yet beneath the joke, she hears something raw. An ache shaped like abandonment. Hours stretch. Moana steers while Maui flexes tattoos, spinning tales of his heroic feats. He points to a moving image on his chest. Maui lassoing the sun. That was me. Slowed that fiery ball so mortals could actually get breakfast before it baked. Another tattoo shows him hauling islands from the sea floor. Me again. Housing market boom. You're welcome. Mini Maui adds cheeky gestures, puffing his tiny chest. But between grand illustrations lie other marks. Thin, almost invisible scars etched near the hook and across ribs. They don't dance. They sit silent. Stories untold. Moana's gaze lingers. What happened there? Maui's bravado falters. Battle trophies. He shrugs. Demigod life. Moana senses more. She recalls her father's reef scars, marks of fear wearing warrior paint. She chooses not to press, only nodding. By dusk, clouds paint lavender streaks across horizon. They anchor near a calm atoll for supper. Maui produces dried fruits, gift from grateful villagers, he claims loudly, and begins devouring them. Moana shares roasted yam packets wrapped in leaves. During lull, she studies wind, tracing star paths on her palm as Tala taught. Maui smirks. You know you're holding that upside down, right? He rotates her hand, correcting the constellation orientation. His fingers are surprisingly gentle. How do you read stars? Moana asks. Demigod's secret, Maui says, then sighs. Fine. See those three? They lead toward the spiral island chain. But on this route, follow the fisher's hook in the sky. He sketches lines in air with his cracked hook. That's the current's shape mirrored overhead. Moana repeats the pattern, determined. Maui rolls his eyes but watches, correcting her wrist angle. Mini Maui gives a tiny thumbs up. Wind picks up again. When Moana fumbles a knot on reef sail rigging, Maui demonstrates a faster weave. She copies until he grudgingly nods. Her cleverness peeks through frustration. Each correction she absorbs like a sponge, reflecting it back with earnest focus that makes even Maui's tattoos blink in surprise. Later, moonlight hits the deck. Moana hums a lullaby. Maui pretends to ignore it, yet his shoulders loosen. He leans on the mast, gaze drifting to stars. After a beat, he asks, So, Motunui, huh? Big island? Nice beaches? Moana smiles. Beautiful, but without fish and coconuts, its heart is fading. She touches the green stone. I have to heal it. He shakes his head. You're out here because an island's sick. I was out here because... He falls silent, jaw working. Mini Maui on his chest frowns in sympathy, gesture coaxing him to speak. Maui sighs. Because I thought if I gave mortals enough gifts, they'd love me. He flicks a pebble into dark water. Turns out, mortals love gifts, not the giver. Moana's voice drops to whisper. Maybe the problem isn't giving. Maybe it's expecting something back. She shrugs. My grandma gave without asking. That's why the ocean trusted her. Maui studies the heart glimmering against Moana's throat. Under its glow, the cracks in his hook look less like failures, more like maps towards something mended. He clears throat. Kid, you ever consider that returning the heart might kill us? He tries to sound flippant, but his fingers tighten on the gunnel. Moana meets his gaze. Fear ripples through her too, but determination steadies it. Then at least we tried. My island deserves that. All islands do. The answer lands between them like quiet thunder. Maui looks away first, a reluctant spark of respect igniting in his eyes. As nights roll into mornings, routine forms. Moana studies currents. Maui cracks coconuts with spectacular hook flips. Show off. Moana charts star courses. Maui critiques with playful mock. She patches sail tiers. He knots reef lines. She laughs at Mini Maui's pantomime. Maui pretends not to, though smile tugs his lips. The chasm shrinks inch by inch, stitched by shared wind and salt. One dawn, squall lines appear on horizon. Waves build teeth. Maui grips tiller. Moana reef binds sail lightning quick. Ocean tests them with sideways punches. Moana clings, repeating Tala's breathing rhythm. Maui's shapeshifts blur. Hawk to shark to walrus. Anchoring ropes, bailing water, steadying beam. Amid chaos, Moana notices. Every shift costs him. The cracked hook flashes pain across his face. She snaps a spare line, loops it under his elbow, stabilizing him. He blinks, nod. Thank you unsaid but felt. They survive. Storm drifts away, leaving Indigo calm. Exhausted, they collapse side by side against mast. Slow sunrise paints water gold. Silence blooms. Comfortable, companionable. Maui breaks it first. Not bad, princess. Moana grins. Not bad, demigod. Mini Maui draws a tiny heart on his own chest, then points at Moana. Maui hastily smacks the tattoo, embarrassed. Moana laughs. A sound like bright shells clinking. Their bond, fragile but real, now threads through deck planks and sailcloth, through midnight laughs and storm-shared grit. It is stitched from respect more than fondness, yet fondness sneaks in the seams like breeze under canvas. That night, under a sky washed clean by rain, Maui sits whittling a new grip for his hook. Moana carefully sands the edge where cracks splintered. They work shoulder to shoulder, wordless harmony. When they finish, Maui lifts the repaired shaft to moonlight. Magic flickers along rune lines. The crack still shows but glows faint jade, healed enough for now. He exhales. Maybe returning the heart won't be all bad. Te Fiti made islands, right? Maybe she can fix hooks too. The admission floats between them. Moana smiles, pulse warm. Maybe she can fix more than that. Maui tosses her a wink, half teasing, half vulnerable. He mutters, almost shy, "Thanks, Moana." Hearing her name from him, the pride, the softness, she feels twin currents of joy and resolve. The ocean laps the hull in gentle applause. Somewhere ahead, monsters wait. Tamatoa's glittering realm, Teka's fiery shore. But tonight, beneath quilt of stars, a demigod and a wayfinder share coconut soup and stories until eyelids droop. Tattoos doze, hook glows steady, heart beats sure. And in the hush between breaths, two hesitant companions become a crew, bound by destiny, stitched by choice, sailing ever deeper into the wide, humming unknown. They rappel down a woven rope that passes through the crater's mouth. Gravity flips. One heartbeat they're lowering themselves. The next heartbeat, they're floating upward into an ink-blue cavern whose ceiling is the ocean they just left. Moana gasps. Stalactites drip upward like stone icicles, and waterfalls run skyward into shimmering mirrors. Glowing corals jut from stone arches, casting turquoise light onto walls crowded with phosphorescent moss. Shadows scuttle, monsters sliding beneath rock shelves. But the coral's soft radiance turns menace into eerie beauty, as if darkness itself wears pearls. Maui whispers, "Welcome to Lalatai. Keep limbs inside at all times." They step onto a petrified shell bridge that spirals down like a nautilus. Below, a chasm churns with bioluminescent tide pools dotted by skeletal trees that bloom firefly spores. Each step echoes. Each echo returns warped, like laughter filtered through water. Suddenly a shriek, half bird, half dolphin, cuts the hush. A winged eel darts overhead, eyes glowing amber, but Maui brandishes his hook, and it veers off. "Just the welcome wagon?" He grins, but his knuckles whiten. Moana breathes slow, focusing on coral glow rather than monster silhouettes. She recalls Tala's manta dance. "Fear bows if you keep dancing." They round a basalt column and enter a vast amphitheater of stone bowls filled with jeweled debris. Broken spears, shattered helmets, chipped pearls. In the center rises a mound glittering like a reef at sunrise. Curved plates of gold, sapphire-studded conch shells, chandeliers of broken glass, and, perched at the apex, Maui's missing hook fragment wedged like the final star in a gaudy constellation. Guarding it sprawls Tamatoa. The gargantuan coconut crab reclines on 8 spiky legs, his carapace encrusted with treasure. Coins, pearls, mirrors, tin toys, even a rust-speckled lantern. Every move he makes sends a cascade of rainbow sparkles across the cavern walls. His eyes, bulbous and sly, rotate toward the newcomers. "Ooh!" Tamatoa croons, voice syrupy with vanity. "Look what just washed in. Snack-sized demigod and little glow stick." He flexes a claw the size of a dinghy. "I love shiny surprises." Maui puffs up, stepping forward. "Back off, Glitter Gut. I'm here for my hook." Tamatoa's laugh booms, shaking stray jewels loose. "This old thing." He twirls the hook fragment like a hairpin, its edges sparking magenta under coral light. "Found it ages ago. Makes a divine brooch. If you're divine." He winks. "Which you used to be, until Te Ka turned you into sea junk." Maui bristles. Tattoos snarl. Mini Maui mimics a throwing motion, eager to pounce, but Maui hesitates. His cracked weapon is still fragile. Moana steps forward, hiding the heart under her necklace. "That hook doesn't belong to you." Tamatoa tilts his head, intrigued. "Bold words, Glowstick." He clacks smaller claws like castanets. "Tell you what, entertain me and maybe I'll consider returning this little trinket." He flicks it up. It lands among gems with a clang. Maui leans close to Moana. "Bad idea. He'll never trade." Moana whispers back. "Then we distract." She draws a deep breath, straightens. "Tamatoa, you think you've collected every shiny treasure, but you missed the rarest object in the entire ocean." Tamatoa's antennae twitch. "Impossible. I'm so shiny I practically invented shiny." "True," Moana nods thoughtfully. "But have you seen a self-polishing lily pearl pure lunar silver? Never dulls." She pulls a smooth white shell from her pocket. Just a common cowrie polished by waves, but under coral light it gleams like moonlit ice. Tamatoa scuttles closer, eyes swiveling greedily. "Self-polishing, you say? Give it here." The cavern echoes with his shifting bulk. Smaller monsters scamper away from falling jewels. Moana hides the shell behind her back. "I'll trade it for that sea junk hook." The crab ponders, clicking mandibles. Tiny shell for big broken hook. Bargain for me, sure. Toss it over." Moana's pulse races. She subtly signals Maui. He circles wide, moving behind Tamatoa's glimmering mound. Moana tosses the kauri high. Tamatoa's gaze tracks the arc. His body lurches, massive claws upraised. In that heartbeat of distraction, Maui vaults onto the mound, ripping the hook fragment free. But Tamatoa is quick. He darts a rear leg sideways, flicking Maui off balance. Jewels avalanche. Maui slides down the pile, hook fragment in hand, but momentum lost. Tamatoa whirls, rage morphing into lethal focus. "You tricked me!" Moana sprints, yelling, "Maui, throw!" He hurls the fragment across the cavern. Moana catches it, fumbling as Tamatoa lunges. His claw slams where she stood. Stone cracks like thunder. She tumbles aside, adrenaline sharp. Maui shapeshifts hawk, swoops, grabs Moana's shoulders, lifting her over a crevice as Tamatoa gives chase. The crab's shell scrapes stalactites, raining sparks. "Exit plan!" Moana shouts. "Upward pool, north wall." Maui banks left. Tamatoa pins after images of rainbow fire across the ceiling, roaring, "No one steals from Tamatoa." They reach a pool that glows aqua. Maui drops hawk, splashes human, hook fragment clutched to chest. Moana dives beside him. The water feels syrupy, heavy with magic. Gravity flips again, yanking them toward the realm's ceiling, which is really the ocean's floor. They break through in a froth of bubbles, shoved into the open sea under moonlight. Moana coughs, scanning for their canoe. The ocean answers with a lifting swell that pops their vessel right beside them. They scramble aboard as Tamatoa's enraged roar echoes faintly below. Safe distance gained, they collapse on deck, breath ragged. Moana lays the hook fragment next to the cracked main piece. Under starlight, a faint seam of jade energy stitches them together. Maui places both ends flush. A shockwave of turquoise sparks binds fracture to fragment. The hook hums. Whole again. Maui's shoulders relax, tattoos cheering in tiny shimmies. He rolls the renewed hook in his palms as though greeting an old friend. "Did you see that crab's face? Priceless." Mini Maui high-fives itself. Moana laughs, still shaking. "Your dive was shorter than your ego, but it worked." Maui grins wide, genuine, grateful. "You threw more than a shell. You threw Tamatoa for a loop." He hefts the hook, testing weight. With a flare of light, he shifts into shark form, back to human seamlessly. No wince, no falter. Confidence returns like sunrise. "Feels good to be me again." Moana ties a fresh band around the hook's grip to reinforce. "We'll need every ounce of that confidence for Teka." She meets his eyes. "Thank you for catching me." He shrugs, newfound humility beneath swagger. Team effort. He glances at the heart. Next step. Find the fiery mountain and finish this. Moana nods, but her gaze drifts south, where distant clouds smolder orange, a volcanic glow marking Teka's domain. Courage swells. Fear whispers. Resolve reigns. The ocean raises a playful wave that nudges the canoe forward, as if eager for the finale. Stars overhead shimmer, reflecting in the hook's polished curve and the heart's emerald pulse. Together, demigod and wayfinder set sail into black silk waters, spirits brighter than any treasure decorating a monster's shell. The ocean at dawn is a quiet teacher. Lavender haze drifts above calm swells, and the air is cool enough to taste like dew. On a narrow deck streaked with salt, Moana stands with feet braced and eyes narrowed against the blush of first light. Beside her, Maui, shoulder broad as a sail's boom, leans on his newly mended fishhook, pretending nonchalance but watching every move. "Rule 1, he says, tapping a knuckle on the gunwale. "Feel the canoe. It's not just wood. It's an extension of you. Your hips, your spine, your pulse." Moana nods, closes her eyes. A mild breeze kisses her cheek. The hull thrums beneath her arches. She senses the faint pitch of weight shifting, a swell arriving seconds before it crests. She angles her stance and the deck evens out beneath her like a friend stepping into rhythm. Maui grins. Nice, now the sky. He points upward where stars fade beyond dawn's fire. Before they vanish, remember their positions. That cluster? He sketches a paddle shape in the air. It marks the eastern current. Those 5? He traces a crooked line. They tell wind strength. Moana tracks each constellation, mapping angles to imaginary compasses. Light flickers across her face. New knowledge catching flame. But when she tries to recite them back, her voice trembles. The points blur together like shells stirred in rushing tide. Maui claps her shoulder. Relax, princess. Navigation isn't memorizing dots. It's listening. He kneels, presses his palm flat on deck. Current talks to hull. Wind talks to sail. You? You talk to both. And let them sing back. The lesson stretches through morning. Maui hoists half sails, then quarter sails, challenges Moana to steer with fingertip adjustments. She misses a gust and the canoe yawns wide. Salt spray slaps her face. She mutters apologies. Maui only laughs. When she nails a tight tack, cutting between swells like blade through cloth, Maui whoops and Mini Maui drums its own chest in applause. Between drills they snack on dried breadfruit. Maui flicks crumbs to hungry gulls that hitchhike overhead. Banter flits easy, Moana teasing Maui's hair. It's bigger than my sail. Maui teasing her stance. Bend knees, not pride. Laughter bounces off water, bright enough to rival sunlit ripples. But as afternoon deepens, conversation sinks beneath surface sparkle. They sit at prow, legs dangling over turquoise glass. Moana idly trails toes beneath the surface, feeling plankton tickle. Maui spins the fishhook in slow circles, eyes following its arc. One more secret, he begins, voice low. Demigods weren't born perfect. He lifts his free hand, exposing a tiny faded tattoo near his wrist. A lonely child cradled by nothing. Humans abandoned me when I was a baby. Parents figured I was cursed. He shrugs, but the gesture looks heavy. The gods saved me, gave me shape-shifting, the hook, a purpose. So I started giving. Fire, coconuts, islands. Thought if I kept gifting, humans might want me back. He flicks a pebble that skips twice before sinking. Didn't work out. Silence spreads, delicate as dawn frost. Waves hush in respect. Moana swallows. I'm sorry. Maui forces a half smile. Turns out there's always another island to impress. Until the day you mess up. His gaze drifts to the mended crack along the hook. Teika crushed me in one swipe. Lost the heart. Lost my legend. A breath rattles. Losing feels permanent. Moana shifts closer, pulsing warmth through her palm atop his forearm. Failure feels final only when you stop moving. The ocean never stops. She gestures at endless horizon. It keeps trying, again and again. Maui studies her, then chuckles, voice softer than surf. When did you turn wise on me? She grins, between falling off masts and tying the wrong knots. The mood lightens until dusk, but shadows gather in Moana's chest. As Maui dozes near the stern, she stares at the heart glowing emerald beneath her necklace. The stone's pulse is steady, hers stutters. She pictures Motunui's children scooping rotten coconuts, her father staring at empty nets. What if she can't deliver? What if Teika erupts and everything burns? She presses the stone to her brow. I don't know enough, she whispers to the moon. Stars slip away, knots tangle. My courage cracks like coral under storm. She blinks back tears that blur rigging into ghostly lines. A friendly wave lifts and lowers the canoe, nudging her ankle listen. Another surge splashes her calf breath. Sighing, she lies on her back, tracing constellations kindling above. One star twinkles brighter, forming a faint spiral, just like the heart. She follows its arc, mapping the sky anew, not as dots to recite, but as story. A manta ray there, a hook there, an island path unrolling between. The ocean rocks her in slow hypnosis. She dozes, half dreaming of Tala's voice. Wayfinding begins here. A gentle swirl of phosphorescence blooms around the hull, turquoise fog curling like affectionate fingers. It wraps the vessel in a soft glow, luminous breath against night's velvet. Moana sits up. The heart responds, shining in rhythm. She feels currents beneath keel, senses wind shift minutes before the cloth flutters. Intuition unspools, a map traced inside her bones. Next dawn, she wakes Maui early. Reset the sail. We'll ride the morning drift southeast. He squints. That makes zero sense with prevailing winds. Trust me. She anchors rope cleats, trims canvas by feel, angles rudder. Wind protests, then swings. Currents align. The canoe accelerates smoother than before, slicing foam. Maui's brow lifts. Huh? Luck. Moana smiles. Instinct. They continue drills. Maui launches surprise obstacles, throwing coconut shells for her to dodge, shouting random star names to test recollection. She answers with quick pivots and accurate quotes of his earlier lessons. Where memory fails, feeling fills gaps. She senses eddies, anticipates gusts, reads the faint rattle in mast lines. Wayfinding seeps into muscle memory like water into sand. At midday break, Maui hands her the tiller. Your ship. He folds arms, assessing. Minnie Maui flashes a thumbs up. Moana's pulse flutters but steadies. She guides them through cluttered shoals ringed by hidden reefs. One slip could rip the hull, but she threads between coral spires, trusting subtle color shifts that warn of shallow rock. The ocean hums approval. Tiny ripples clap against bow. Maui whistles, impressed. Not bad, Captain. Pride flickers, then worry returns. But, te ka. He swings the hook onto his shoulder. We face her together. You watch currents. I chuck lava with shapeshifts. Deal? She exhales. Deal. That night, as golden sunset melts into indigo, Maui teaches her the last test. Close your eyes. Point to where you are. Moana obeys. With lids shut, she feels deck tilt, wind smell, wave cadence. She points northwest. Maui's grin widens. Exactly right. You're starting to hear the ocean. Moana opens her eyes, disbelief melting into joy. She tilts her head up at constellations. The ray, the fisher's hook, the spiral. They glow like old friends. She whispers thank you to them, to her grandma, to the sea. Confidence pulses, bright and calm. Under waxing moon, they share sweet taro mash, laughter drifting across swells. When stars wheel to midnight, Maui clears his throat. For the record, Motunui's lucky. Not many stand up to Tamatoa, let alone that first reef wave. You've got guts. She nudges him. And you? You've got stories. Some true, some very embellished. He laughs, hook twinkling. Maybe. But story or not, they brought us here. She touches the heart. Tomorrow, we reach Teka's waters. Fear whispers, but belief sings louder. The melody of current under hull, the steady glow on her chest. The memory of a manta ray guardian crossing moonlight. Maui yawns. Get some rest, Wayfinder. Moana lies on deck, stars painting secrets across sky. The canoe rises and falls, cradle motion slowing thoughts. She feels ocean's heartbeat against hull, hears distant whales humming lullabies. A new understanding settles. Wayfinding is not just arrival, it is becoming. Every tack ties courage to curiosity. Every star path links past to possibility. She closes her eyes, drifting into dreams stitched with turquoise swirls and manta wings. Somewhere beneath, currents shift, guiding them toward a horizon that flickers fiery red. But for now, the sea is calm, the crew united, the heart pulsing hope through night. And deep inside Moana, a new compass steadies. an inner tide chart, guiding her not by fear or doubt, but by the quiet certainty that she belongs to the ocean as surely as the ocean belongs to her. The sky bleeds ember orange as Moana's canoe skims the final stretch of open water. In the distance, Te Fiti's silhouette looms, once a gentle goddess, now a jagged crown of lava cloaked in smoke. Molten rivers snake down her fractured slopes, dripping into the sea with sizzling hisses that hang in the air like angry whispers. Between Moana and the shore stands Te Ka, a monster of living magma, taller than cliffs, fire spilling from every crack in her stone skin. Moana steadies the tiller. Maui plants his feet beside the mast, swirling his restored hook in practiced loops. The heart of Te Fiti beats at Moana's throat, its emerald glow trembling against the deep red glare ahead. A hot, sulfuric breeze hits, making her eyes sting, but she breathes through it. I am the ocean's child. I am not afraid. Maui casts her a sideways grin, half bravado, half fear. All right, princess. Stay low, I distract. You sprint for the spiral. The plan is simple in theory. Maui leaps, shape shifts midair, draws Te Ka's fire. Moana slips past the barrage to the spiral scar on the crumbling island and returns the heart. Simple, until reality strikes. A thunderous crack shatters the haze. Te Ka hurls a molten boulder the size of a whale. It arcs like a comet and slams the water, blasting steam and rogue waves. The canoe bucks. Moana's knees buckle. She clutches the rail. Go! Maui roars. He vaults high, shifts into a hawk. His silhouette blazes golden against the inferno. He dives, hook raised. Te Ka swipes. Stone talons meet god-forged bone. Crack! A hairline fissure splits Maui's treasured weapon. The hawk more flickers. Hawk to man. Toad. Man again. Each shift stuttering. Maui crashes onto a lava outcrop whose heat waves wobble the air. Moana gasps. Maui! She forces the canoe forward, weaving through boiling swells. Another fiery boulder splashes broadside. White-hot shards rain across the deck. Rigging ignites. Sailcloth shrivels like paper. A mast beam snaps. Maui tries to lift his hook, now splintered at the curve, but pain blasts across his face. Te Ka roars, fists sliding magma that rolls in sheets. Maui staggers back, breathing ragged. Fear, old and raw, flashes in his eyes. He looks at Moana, then at his ruined hook, then at the towering monster. I can't, he shouts across the roar. The hook's breaking. One hit away from dust. Stay, we can still. But heat shudders the air. Moana's words melt in steam. Maui spreads arms, ready to leap, but doubt anchors him. The next swipe from Te Ka rips a lava chunk and hurls it straight at the canoe. Wood explodes. The hull splits like a cracked coconut. Moana is flung into scalding foam. The heart flies from her neck, glowing bead tumbling beneath steaming surf. When she surfaces coughing, the canoe is a flaming skeleton drifting apart. Maui! She cries. Through heat shimmer she sees him, bird form for a blink, then man, hook dangling useless. His gaze meets hers, regret heavier than stone. He shakes his head once, then wind gusts and he takes flight, northward, away. Maui, don't leave. Her voice tears, but the hawk shrinks to a dot. Te Ka's roar swallows every sound except cracking lava and her own hammering heart. Hot waves slap, ash rains. She clings to a drifting beam, eyes scanning frantic. The heart. Where? There, a faint green flicker beneath rolling bubbles. She dives. Heat stings her skin, but desperation pulls her deeper. Fingers close around the stone, warm, alive. But a backdraft surge spits her out. She breaks the surface coughing. Te Ka's shadow looms, molten claws raised. She paddles hard, heart pounding, but a geyser of steam blasts inches from her face. Instinct screams. She twists, loses grip. The heart slips, swirling into darkness, its glow snuffed by thick ash clouds. Defeated, Moana drags herself onto a charred plank that barely floats. The monster's roar fades behind her as currents carry the wreckage back into soot-scummed sea. Night finds her hours later, skin blistered by sparks, voice hoarse from calling Maui, arms limp around the battered plank. The moon hides behind smoke. No stars, no wind songs, only the hiss of dying embers across black water. She drifts until lagoon-still waters cradle her against a tiny rock, spit far from Te Fiti. Broken mast pieces litter the shallows like bones. She crawls onto sand the color of ink, collapses, and sobs, quiet, ragged, each breath tasting of ash and salt. "I failed," she whispers. "Grandma, I'm sorry. Dad, I'm sorry." Exhaustion weighs heavier than lava. She curls tight, pain pulsing from burns and bruises. At some point, tears dry. Silence thickens. Then, soft, familiar, rustle whoosh. Like a manta wing brushing sand. Moana lifts her head. Moonlight peers through thinning smoke. On the water, ripples glow gentle blue. From them rises a shimmering silhouette, Tala, her spirit shaped as a manta ray, wings edged in starlight. The vision hovers, luminous serenity folding around Moana's battered form. "Grandma," Moana's voice cracks. Tala's form drifts closer, curls around in a half embrace. Her voice, breath of tide, echoes inside Moana's heart more than ears. The call isn't out there at all. It's inside me. Memories flood. Toddler. Moana saving baby turtles. The cave of voyaging canoes. Her first perfect tack across midnight sea. Every moment points inward. The ocean didn't choose her because she was strongest. It chose her because she listened. But the heart is gone, Moana whispers into darkness. Maui's gone. I can't sail without a boat. I can't face Teka alone. Tala's glow pulses. Images bloom in Moana's mind. The spiral on the heart mirrored in her own fingertips. Waves parting around her ankles that first day as a toddler. Currents shifting to match her breath during Maui's lessons. She is the canoe. She is the wayfinder. The music of stars and sea flows through her veins. A sudden calm stirs. She sits taller, pain receding beneath rising resolve. I know the way. The words tremble but ring true. Tala's spirit dips, approval, farewell, and dissolves into a swirl of turquoise motes that scatter across water, lighting a faint trail back toward Te Fiti. The motes linger, forming a path like stepping stones of starlight before fading. Moana inhales deep, stands. Her legs wobble but hold. She collects driftwood, torn sail scraps, rope strands flung by storm. Guided by memories of Maui's lessons, she knots, lashes, shapes. Hours pass. Dawn's pale glow reveals a makeshift raft, crude, small, but pointed, like determination. She presses charred hands to her heart. Ocean, she murmurs. If you're still with me, help me finish this. A gentle swell rolls in, lifts the raft, nudges it outward. Yes. Moana drags the craft into shallows. Wind arrives, soft but sure, filling the stitched sail. The ocean curls a wave, propelling her toward the smoldering horizon. She grips the rudder, head high. Doubts flicker, but genesis of belief outshines them. I am Moana of Motunui. The ocean chose me. She feels currents hum beneath feet, hears stars whisper true north even in daylight haze. Wind threads her hair. Salt baptizes new resolve. Somewhere beyond smoke, Teka waits, fury unspent. Maui flies wounded, hook cracked again, pride in shards. The heart lies dormant under churning waves. Everything once bright seems broken. Yet within Moana glows a spiral of quiet fire. Call of tide, call of spirit, stronger than fear. She tightens sail lines, sets course straight into heat. Ash swirls, but the ocean parts a lane, guiding her small raft like a cradle on rails of foam. The path feels fated, water memory responding to her own heartbeat. As sun climbs, smoke thins. She sees the fiery mountain again, but this time her chest does not clench. Instead, she feels centered, as though magma heat forged new metal in her bones. The words echo once more. The call isn't out there. It's inside me. Moana smiles, small but unwavering. The raft cuts onward. In the distance, a hawk circles, tiny silhouette limping against updrafts. Maui, still watching. She raises a hand, not in plea, but in promise. Whether he returns or not, she will sail on. Behind her, the ocean sparkles bright turquoise, wiping soot from the waves like slate under fresh chalk. Ahead, smoke rolls, lava sizzles, danger crackles, but also a chance to heal worlds. Moana's breath steadies to the rhythm of water under hull. Da-dum da-dum, a heartbeat echoing her own. She is no longer a girl torn between land and sea. She's a wayfinder, reborn in ash and salt. And as the raft glides toward fire, her spirit blazes brighter than the lava she's destined to face. Dawn braids strands of pink and gold across a glass-smooth sea, and in that hushed glow, Moana kneels on a lonely sandbar stitching new life from wreckage. Her raft from the night before lies beside her, no longer a desperate lattice of driftwood, but the bones of a true canoe reshaped by determined hands. She has scavenged charred planks, planed them smooth with coral, lashed them tight with braided sail threads, and set a balanced outrigger that skims like a seabird's wing. Each knot tightens with quiet ceremony. Each wooden seam drinks sunrise and hardens. The air is still, yet the water hums, tiny ripples nudging her hull as if the ocean itself lends gentle encouragement. Moana pauses, palm resting on warm timber. She feels the vessel respond, an echo of her own heartbeat. We are ready, it seems to say. She steps back to admire the craft. Modest, yes, but sleek in profile, stern rising to a graceful curve, mast sharpened clean and true, sail cut from unburned cloth stitched with spiral motifs. The heart of Te Fiti lies at the bow, its emerald glow now steady rather than trembling, pulsing soft as distant drums. Moana lifts the canoe with a grunt. A playful swell rolls up, floats it, and spins it to present the bow toward open water. She laughs, not from nervousness, but from a trust so complete it feels like wings. No fear tails her now. The ocean has become companion, teacher, and gentle giant beneath her soles. With practiced ease, she slides aboard, unfurls her sail, and leans into the wind. A hush sweeps the lagoon like inhalation before song. Then, whoosh! A steady breeze fills canvas, and the craft leaps forward. Foam parts in perfect V's. The mast sings a single, low note, neither warning nor lament, but promise. As she slices through pale aquamarine, Moana feels curving undercurrents cradle the hull, lifting it over hidden reefs, ushering her through shimmering pathways lined with dancing schools of silverfish. Every element seems tuned to her intent. Wind threadbare enough to steer but strong enough to carry. Currents braided just right. Sunlight laying a golden lane that points unerringly toward Te Fiti's blackening horizon. She adjusts the tiller by feel alone. Eyes closed, face tilted to wind. Instead of the rolling dread that once haunted thoughts of the fiery monster, she holds an expansive calm, richer than any lullaby Tala ever sang. The calm does not deny the danger ahead. It simply refuses to kneel to it. The ocean, sensing her resolve, lifts her bow higher with each swell, as though elevating a beloved child onto broad shoulders. Hours pass. The distant smudge of volcanic smoke swells into ragged silhouette. Lava rivers glow like cracked embers along the cursed goddess's flanks. Yet the sight no longer steals Moana's breath. It steadies it. She presses a hand over the heart, feeling its steady rhythm synchronize with her own. Emerald reflections ripple along her skin and dance across the sail, green on white like vines reclaiming stone. When she reaches the charred shoals, the sea that once boiled now shimmers a tempered crimson. Hot, yes, but parted for her passage. She guides the canoe over the reef break just as a wave arches ahead. Instead of smashing down, it sweeps aside, bowing to let her glide through. Teka senses her arrival. From the crater mouth erupts a roar, part furnace, part wounded lament. Massive arms of magma slam into the shallows, sending geysers of steam skyward. The air thickens with heat haze so intense the horizon quivers. But the canoe leaps each shockwave like a pony clearing fences. Moana's hands hold only tiller and sail rope, yet it feels as though invisible fingers of water catch every jolt, balancing her craft before fear can spark. She comes within 50 yards, where Maui once faltered, where her old boat splintered. Teka rears, towering against a sun turned rust-red through ash. Flames swirl around a molten crown, cracked obsidian eyes blaze. Moana climbs onto the prow, barefoot, the heart glowing vivid at her throat. She raises her palm in greeting rather than challenge. Emerald radiance fans outward like soft lantern light brushing Teka's arm. The monster's next blow pauses mid-swing, lava dripping but momentum caught in a tug of memory. In the molten visage, Moana glimpses flickers of Te Fiti's original curve, something gentle buried beneath cinders. She meets that hidden softness with a steady gaze of compassion. A new roar breaks overhead. From the cloud bank plummets a hawk, wings scorched but firm. Maui, hook repaired once more with hastily bound fibers. He dives between Moana and the next gout of lava, shape-shifting mid-air, landing as a gigantic stone tortoise whose shell deflects the blow into harmless spray. He shifts back to human, panting. "Couldn't let you hog the spotlight, princess," he jokes, though his voice trembles. Hook raised, he plants beside her. "Let's finish it, together." Moana smiles, not a plea for rescue, but welcome to an ally. "Hold her focus," she whispers. She lifts the heart overhead. Green light spills across molten ground like cool rain. Maui shifts again, this time into a brilliant manta ray that sweeps low, drawing Teka's furious gaze. The lava titan swings. Maui dodges, leaving trails of turquoise sparks. With Teka's arms occupied, Moana steers the canoe straight into fire. Waves hiss against new rock, but the ocean shoves from behind, launching her onto a ramp of half-cooled lava that rises toward the spiral burn on Te Fiti's chest. Heat throbs, blistering air scalds her lungs. Yet a corridor of swirling steam opens, water vapor hugging her path, shielding her skin from living flame. She leaps from the canoe, feet landing on scorching basalt. A thin film of water swirls around her soles, ocean's final gift, turning lethal heat into warm pulse. Moana walks. Ash drifts like black snow. Sparks rain around her, but do not singe. Each step echoes Tala's mantra. The call isn't out there, it's inside me. The nearer she gets, the brighter the heart pulses. No longer a stone, but a living memory, longing to return home. Behind, Maui battles. Not with desperation, but with measured confidence. Every shapeshift buys seconds. Hawk diving, lizard skittering, whale breaching through waves to soak lava limbs. His cracked hook holds. His spirit, too. He catches Moana's eye once, nods. Go. She reaches the spiral gouge at Teka's core. Jagged, glowing red, oozing grief. Lava fists rise to crush her. Moana lifts the heart, bows her head, and speaks softly through rising roar. "I know who you are." Her words, simple, sure, carry on a hush that ripples outward. Teka's motion falters. Flame gutters. In a blink, molten armor splits, revealing beneath it the faint, green curve of Te Fiti's original spiral. Moana steps forward, placing the heart into the hole. Emerald light floods the crack, racing like vines over stone. It crawls across arms, over crown, down legs, cooling lava to fertile earth, flame to blooming moss. A low chime echoes, the heartbeat of an island waking. Stone fragments slough away, and Te Fiti emerges, towering, verdant, eyes kind and ocean deep. Flowers burst from fresh soil, vines unfurl, waterfalls hiss into being where lava once bled. She kneels, gazing at Moana with gratitude older than sky. A gentle hand of living earth lifts Moana's canoe from shallows, restoring sail and wood with trailing blossoms. Another hand passes over Maui's hook, sealing every fracture with jade-green veins. The demigod lands beside Moana, shoulders sagging in relief. Well, he exhales, studying his now perfect hook. Guess I owe you more than a you're welcome. Moana laughs, tears bright. We owe each other nothing. We give. Te Fiti smiles. At her breath, clouds part. Sunlight pours over renewed island chains in the distance. Palm crowns greening, reefs refilling with fish. A rolling tide carries that renewal outward across horizons toward Motunui and beyond. Maui shapeshifts hawk again, wind ruffling restored feathers. I'll drop you home, Wayfinder. Moana steps aboard her heeled canoe, laying a palm on smooth deck. The ocean will guide me, but you, tell new stories. He salutes, genuine pride warming his grin. Then he ascends, hook gleaming. Moana sets sail on a sea, now turquoise and calm. As Te Fiti reclines into restful sleep, vines cradling her face, Moana catches her reflection on water's mirror. It glows, not with magic, but with acceptance. Land and sea within her have found peace. The call was always here, beneath her ribs, beating in time with tides. The horizon before her is wide, painted in emerald promise. And as the ocean nudges her bow toward home, Moana hums a quiet song, not of fear or longing, but of belonging. Its melody is calm and powerful as the journey that forged it. Warm sunlight breaks across a sky newly scrubbed of smoke. It pours like honey over cliffs that only moments ago crackled with flame. Where molten rivers once hissed, clear waterfalls now tumble, weaving silver ribbons down emerald slopes. The world holds its breath in a hush so pure it hums, a pause between one heartbeat and the next, watching the miracle unfold. In that stillness, a towering figure of living earth unfurls. The monster called Te Ka, all fury and broken stone, has softened, crumbled, dissolved into flowering moss. Out of cracked lava rises the true goddess, Te Fiti. Her skin glows deep green, patterned with spirals of fern and vine. Petals burst wherever her footsteps land. Young trees spring like eager children to kiss the sun. Birds, silent for ages, dart from hidden hollows and wheel overhead, painting the air with bright wings. Te Fiti lifts her hands to her face, as if relearning shape and color. Light gathers around her fingertips, then sprays outward in a shower of glowing seeds. The seeds drift on gentle wind, settling over distant atolls, lonely reefs, and barren sandbars. Wherever a seed lands, green erupts, palm fronds uncurl, fruit blossoms open, coral regains neon pulse. Across the horizon, one island after another brightens like lanterns lighting a midnight path until the ocean itself seems to sparkle with reflected emerald. Far below, a small canoe coasts on sapphire water, now as smooth as polished glass. Moana stands at the bow, hair lifted by soft breeze. She watches Te Fiti's transformation with eyes wide and shimmering, then places a hand over her heart. The heart of Te Fiti, its task complete, now rests silent against her chest, cool and content. She steps to the edge of the deck, kneels, and bows low, forehead to plank, in humble gratitude. A wave rises beneath her vessel, tilting it gently forward as if the sea itself bows in tandem. High above, Te Fiti leans down. Her eyes, oceans in themselves, find the tiny wayfinder who carried life back to her. A smile like dawn spreads across the goddess's lips. She lowers one enormous hand, palm open. Out flows a breeze scented with rainforest and sweet blossoms. It brushes Moana's cheeks, lifts strands of hair, wraps her in warmth. Flowers spiral from the air and settle in the seams of Moana's sail. Crimson hibiscus, ivory frangipani, golden puakenikeni, all bright against white canvas, each a silent blessing. Moana breathes in their fragrance and feels calm settle deeper than bone, a calm that will linger long after storms return. Nearby, on a newly cooled ledge of stone, Maui stands, hook whole, pride mended. He watches in awe as Te Fiti's vines curl toward him, weaving a living garland. For one tense heartbeat he stiffens, wary of judgment, but the vines simply drape around his shoulders, heavy with orchid blooms. Te Fiti's gaze meets his. There is no anger, only knowing. Pain recognized and released. Maui lets out a shaky laugh, half relief, half wonder, and his tattooed chest echoes his grin. Mini Maui flexes tiny arms in celebration. The demigod clears his throat, steps toward the water's edge. "Hey, goddess," he calls, voice rough with unspent emotions. "Sorry for stealing your heart. You know, back then." He scratches his mane. And for the, centuries of doom that followed. An awkward pause, then softer. "Thank you for this second chance." Te Fiti answers not with words, but with a gentle rain. Thin drops warm as tea. The rain patters over Maui's shoulders, washing soot from his hair, soothed steam from his skin. Each drop glows briefly on his tattoos before soaking in like forgiveness. From the shore to the open sea the rain falls, soft, cleansing, stitched with faint light, bathing every renewed leaf and stone. It kisses the ocean, sending ripples of prismatic color darting across the surface, like liquid opal. Moana tilts her face upward and closes her eyes. The rain's touch cools the last sting of battle from her arms, washes salt from her lashes. It tastes faintly of coconut water and fresh mint. She spreads her arms, skin tingling with new energy. Around her canoe, fish leap through droplets, tails flicking in playful arcs. The ocean itself seems to laugh. When drizzle fades, Maui spreads his massive wings, hawk now, feathers gleaming under brightening sun, and glides toward Moana's canoe. He lands light as palm pollen on the outrigger. For a moment they stand silent, sharing the view of green islands resurrecting like waking giants. "You did it," Maui says quietly. Moana shakes her head. "We did it." He chuckles, rolling the hook across his shoulders like an old friend. Okay. He glances at the fresh flowers stitched into the sail. "Looks like someone's got a goddess seal of approval." Moana smiles, then grows thoughtful. "What will you do now?" Maui exhales, gaze drifting to the horizon where clouds puff pure white again. "Maybe find new islands to help, but ask permission first." Mini Maui nods emphatically. He twirls his hook. "Could give humans small gifts, teach them to fish better, help villages rebuild." He shrugs. "No more showboating, just being there." Moana's grin widens. "Our ancestors would call that true wayfinding, guiding others safely." Maui flaps his wings once, testing strong morning currents. "Well, someone taught me to listen to the ocean instead of shouting over it." His expression softens into respect. "Thank you, Moana." She places a hand over her chest. "Thank you, Maui." A beat of shared gratitude passes, deeper than any. "You're welcome." With a final salute, hook slicing a figure 8 of bright silver, Maui leaps skyward. feathers catch sunbeams. He banks wide, then wheels upward in a joyous spiral. Overhead he whistles a tune, half swagger, half lullaby. Somewhere distant islands will soon see a new star arc across blue sky, and no hope wears wings. Moana watches until he is a dot lost among clouds. She then turns her canoe homeward. Te Fiti's green gaze follows, serene. With one slow exhale, the goddess reclines upon her island body. Vines fold over scorched crevices, sealing them with fresh growth. Waterfalls expand, singing brighter. A tide of life ripples outward, tangling seagrass into meadows for sea turtles, coaxing coral polyps into technicolor reefs, summoning pods of dolphins to dance along wave crests. From horizon's edge to horizon's edge, the ocean shimmers like a polished mirror. Even the sky seems to glow teal at its lower hem, its blue richer, its clouds puffed like freshly laundered sails. Sea breezes carry laughter, distant villages discovering coconut groves heavy with fruit, fishermen hauling nets brimming silver once more. The world feels wider, kinder, newly awake. Moana unfurls her sail, now an art piece of fragrant petals. A warm gust fills it, aromatic with hints of ginger blossom and rain-kissed earth. The canoe glides smooth as lullaby chord. Currents cradle the hull, guiding it west toward Motunui. Yet Moana lingers near the bow, watching the world behind her recover layer by layer, like a painting refreshed. A rainbow, thin as thread, vibrant as parrot feathers, arches from Te Fiti's crown into quiet thunderheads. Beneath that arch, a shimmering spiral appears on the waves, the faint outline of a manta ray traced in sunlight, then fading. Moana's throat tightens with sweet ache. "Thank you, Grandma," she whispers. Above, clouds part gently to reveal pure blue vault and a wide white sun, morning now in full bloom. Soft rain begins anew, not the hot hiss of lava steam, but a gentle, cool drizzle, each drop a crystal note in the song of rebirth. It patters on the sail, the deck, Moana's shoulders, and endless blue beyond. The world smells of promise and wet earth. Moana closes her eyes and lets that rain bead on her lashes. She pictures Motunui's shoreline waiting, coconuts ripe, villagers dancing on new grass, her father's smile no longer shadowed by fear. She pictures herself stepping onto sand, heart returned to its goddess, spirit returned to her own chest. Yet part of her will always belong here, at the seam where water meets sky. A gentle wave nudges the canoe as if to say, "Sail on." Moana grips the tiller and, with calm steadiness, sets a course. Behind her, Te Fiti rests amid flowering slopes. Ahead, the horizon shimmers like an unopened letter. Rain lightens to mist, then lifts, leaving the sea polished and still. In that shining stillness, peace travels outward, riding currents, drifting in breezes, echoing in whale song, carrying the quiet message of a world healed. Life returns, balance restores, and every heart, once cracked, can grow green again. The lagoon is jade green when Moana's canoe noses through the reef, and Motunui rises ahead like a promise finally kept. Drums roll across the beach in quickening heartbeats. Villagers crowd the shore, faces lit by sunrise and salt bright tears, as the girl who left a child of two worlds returns a woman who has woven them together. Chief Tui and Sina break from the throng first. They sprint knee-deep into the tide, arms open wider than any horizon. Moana laughs, leaps from the prow, and the three collide in a dizzy whirl of wet sand, relieved sobs, and breathless words tumbling over one another. "You came home. I never left you. Look at you, Wayfinder." Her father's grip is fiercer than any reef, but his eyes shine with faith where fear once lived. Sina brushes wind-snarled curls from Moana's cheeks, whispering that the ocean kept its promise. Behind them, the villagers lift paddles high, a forest of oars clicking like bamboo chimes. They break into song, old voyaging verses renewed by fresh voices, and escort the canoe onto higher sand. Children race ahead, threading flower garlands through the sail. Elders trace spirals on its mast, sealing blessings into every fiber. Even Heihei, ridiculous as ever, crows atop a crate as though announcing a coronation. When the sun crowns the mountain ridge, Moana steps onto the communal platform. Her knees quake, but the heart-shaped spiral glowing on her necklace steadies her breath. She doesn't speak of lava monsters or living goddesses. She speaks of balance restored, of coconuts ripening again, of reef fish darting in neon shoals, of a sea that tests but never abandons. She ends by lifting a freshly carved paddle. "We were voyagers," she says, voice ringing across palm crowns, "and we will be again." That night, torches line the beach. Canoes long silent are unlashed, hulls mended, sails patched with bright new cloth. Under a half moon, the islanders launch them one by one, first the smallest, crewed by eager teens, then broader outriggers steered by elders whose memories of star paths spark awake like fireflies. Moana moves from boat to boat, correcting a knot here, a mast angle there, but mostly she listens, collecting stories, answering questions, teaching what the ocean taught her about reading clouds by color and swells by sound. At dawn, she and a crew of wide-eyed children paddle beyond the reef on their first practice run. The sea is glassy, the wind a warm murmur against their cheeks. Moana crouches by the tiller, guiding small hands to the rope, explaining how a sail can feel a breeze before eyes can see it. When a playful puff flicks the canvas, the canoe jumps forward and the children squeal, equal parts thrill and awe. She reminds them to thank the wind, and they do, giggling into the bright morning. Days slide into a gentle rhythm. By sunrise, lines of canoes streak across turquoise, their wakes sketching petals on the sea. By dusk, fires ring the sand while paddlers trade discoveries. A hidden cove of purple coral, a sandbar perfect for turtle nests, a constellation no one had named yet. Each night ends with Moana kneeling at the water's edge, pressing a palm to the tide as if signing a quiet pact. She will guard the sea, and it will guide her people. Maui visits only once, swooping in as a hawk, dropping baskets of luminous shells, so shiny even Tamatoa would sulk, then skimming away with a grin that needs no apology. Mini Maui waves farewell from his tattoo perch, and Moana watches his silhouette fade into high blue, grateful and at peace. The season turns lush, breadfruit sag golden. Laughing gulls escort every returning crew. On still afternoons, Moana's father stands at the cliff and charts the outward dots of sailcloth with wonder, realizing the reef was never a wall, only a doorway. And sometimes, when the wind is slow and the lagoon lies breath flat, the ocean lifts one translucent wave that curls into a perfect spiral before it falls, as if winking at its chosen wayfinder. The sky is deep indigo now, dear dreamer. Lie back. Let soft sand cradle your shoulders. Let warm breeze comb through your hair. You followed Moana, from the hush of Motunui's palms to the roar of molten cliffs, from a shattered mast to a daring stride through fire. You heard the ocean murmur secrets against her ankles, watched stars stitch maps above her sail, felt the flutter of doubt and the thunder of courage inside one steady heart. Now the waves roll in slow silver lines. They hush against the shore, then slide away. Hush and slide, each breath a lullaby in water language. A faint scent of frangipani drifts on the air, mingling with distant drumbeats softened by distance, by night, by contentment. The sea chose her, but tonight, the sea is quiet, and it chooses you for rest. Feel the warm wind flutter across your eyelids like feather-light sails. Hear palm fronds rustle in gentle applause for journeys completed. Overhead, stars gleam, tiny, calm lanterns, mirroring the spiral of the heart somewhere inside your own chest. Breathe in. Feel the tide rise within your ribs. Breathe out. Feel it fall, leaving peace pooled in its wake. Again, in and out, slower now, matching the hush slide of foam on sand. You are not on a canoe tonight. You are on a soft raft of dreams, carried by currents that know exactly where safe harbors lie. Let them steer. Let them cradle. All you must do is float and listen and drift. Storms are distant memories. Lava glows only as embers behind treasured stories. Ahead lies calm water, endless horizon, and a sky wide enough for every dream you choose to unfurl.